All right. And okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to keep this one short. Like some of y'all have seen on my Facebook page, shout out to the brother here who put your boy on game. Okay. We need to have a conversation, ladies and gentlemen. See, again, we talked about this when you're talking about discipleship and leadership and the teachers. See, again, where are my psychologists? We're being for real now. See, especially Minority Therapy Month. You know, again, to us, and y'all excuse me because there's a little bit of emotion here with this. Us, because we don't understand really what we're doing. When Stephen said, Lord, forgive him, they don't understand what we're doing. We don't get it. We don't get it. So, y'all welcome into this episode here. Us, the 600 strong, who believe in free thought, who believe in that which was created and made here for us to live down here in peace. And that's where we're going to hop off in this topic. Y'all welcome into another episode of A Different View. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to understand here, okay? Again, we don't name names on here. We're not at that. That's not what this is about, right? However, when you have on the news, and y'all will hear about it, one, this is not, have we learned any, see again, in talking to this brother here, it's just the base element. See, we're talking the raw truth. No one is learning that what is the, see, again, the word violence is taken out of context. The violence, we're talking the physical harm you do to someone, not the passion. Again, is the word we have gone over on this podcast. Not the passion that you have on something that you can love violently, right? We're not talking about that. What we are speaking on is this mindless violence that people would attempt to take the life of Donald J. Trump. That just happened as of, I don't even know, a couple minutes ago. We posted it on our Facebook page. We'll put content on here and all this kind of thing. Ladies and gentlemen, regardless of how you feel about that man, and listen, okay, has he, we're talking about from the jump. We're talking about from New York. Shout out one time to my New York folks, because anybody in New York, if y'all are paying attention to the game, you already knew a lot of this mess was going down regardless from the beginning, okay? This is not going no different than on the other side. See, what y'all are missing. And this would be no different if someone attempted a life on Joe Biden. Again, Secret Service, those who protect this thing, okay, on a serious level. See, when we talk about checks and balances, need to be checked and balanced better. That's not what we're talking about. You ain't got to waste no time killing nobody. Keep your bullet in the gun for protection against you. See, and it was funny, you know, today in talking with another friend of mine here, another one of our day oneers. Shout out to the day oneers here on A Different View. See, everybody got to be, you got to understand, you got to keep your mind. If you keep your mind, you know, stayed on thee. Now, when you talk about thee, the things of thee, talking about God in the Bible, right? This that will keep you in perfect peace, perfect completeness, perfect wholeness. And part of the wholeness is not you shooting this man, no matter how unholy you think he is. And of course, for some of our Christian brothers and sisters that are on this podcast, those who think he is very holy in certain respects, which I'm sure this is all going to come out as a whole kind of idea to get this man in office. And sometimes when these things happen like this, many levels, now I am not making an excuse for killing folk, okay? But we're talking historically, how things go down when you've got to remove someone out of the way, okay? It's happened with our dear brother Malcolm X. It has happened with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It has happened with a great many people. Marcus Garvey. It's happened with a lot. Now, I'm just naming the darker skinned folks. It's happened a lot. You look in different Mexican revolutions, it's happened there. It's happened with our Latin brothers and sisters, people who do this mess. Even if you go all the way, and I understand everybody's going to have a different thing, whether Democratic, Republican, whatever y'all want to, whatever the flavor of the month is, and this is not making fun of anybody, okay? But again, when it comes to the final and in conclusion, right, to rob a phrase from a set of movies that I like, which is Final Destination, when your final destination is the only way to solve this thing is to go killing a man, that's not going to work, y'all. Has anybody picked up on the pattern of history? That never works. The last time some mess like this happened was World War I, when they assassinated a government official, and it started a war. What are we doing? And again, the question that I pose to this brother is, what happens, because everybody is bloodthirsty. See, again, you following after the doctrine of Massa. You're not listening to that which leads you to peace and wholeness. See, again, the black person would be okay causing a whole bunch of mess instead of coming together, banding together, like what happened at the what I believe the name of it is the Bagdung Conference back in the day, where your dark skin tone folks, there's something y'all can look up online, they came together to formulate strategy on how in the hell are we going to live on this planet with other groups of people hunting us down. We have yet to do that mess. You got this brother Rizza Islam out here. You got a whole bunch of different brothers out here. Of course, we know about Dr. Umar Johnson, whatever y'all want to say about that. You know about Dr. Claude Anderson. We're talking about dealing with, see, again, no different than Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and all the other black leaders, men and women, running the game in the 60s and 70s and 50s. When do we come together? Because this is not the answer. Again, we hope everything is all right with former President Trump. I know how y'all going to think with me saying this right now, but I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this is not how it works. Vote to remove out someone out of power. That's it. The violent part is this I got to kill this man is unnecessary. That would go for Joe Biden. That would go for JFK. That would go for Abraham Lincoln. No, see, when all that mess went down, because this is the other question, but after the war is over that everybody's bloodthirsty for, the next thing that comes is reconciling, right? Do y'all remember what happened during the reconciliation the last time on these lands when some mess like this popped off? Do you remember? They assassinated Abraham Lincoln. They used it as a ploy to keep those who were already, one, took these lands unnecessarily and wrongly, stole them. Two, had a whole workforce that they then made laws and made sure they stayed bound when they should have set them free. This is what happened during the reconciliation part of this, right? You know, no 40 acres and a mule, all this stuff that we still talking about today. See, people not paying attention to the game here. I hope nobody at these rallies got hurt. You know, this is a dangerous world we live in, man. You got to pay attention. See, this is why when we talk about gun control, is a necessity for you to protect yourself. Again, at the same time, we're not using no responsibility with the abilities we've been given, as we say on this podcast. So here is the problem you have now, man. We know. Those who have come to a certain level of understanding, or consciousness as they call it, enlightenment, it is said by our Buddhist brothers and sisters. This is, again, as it is said, when you look into the law of life and liberty and perfection, as it is talked about, that I'm paraphrasing from the Bible. You ain't got no time for this mess. It's done differently, ladies and gentlemen. Separation don't mean ending someone's life. That's the wrong way to go about it. Dealing and shopping in these stores and stuff like that, you got people who are okay being absolute jackasses, and I must say it that way. You've heard me say it on this podcast before. We are very mean to our dear human brothers and sisters who work and provide us services and goods, ladies and gentlemen. We're assholes to them. That's the only way of saying it, okay? It's not right. You sit there and yell and cause disruptions. You talk about disturbing the peace. And all the lawsuits that go out, you automatically, when you act like that in these stores, should be sued for that. But no, because the workers, see, not the bosses. The boss is still making the money off you because the workers do not stand up for themselves legally. See, this is what I'm talking about. Lawyers and financiers, y'all need to get on board. You want that big paycheck? You definitely will get one if you back these people in these both private and public sector businesses to have better representation for themselves. When we as a human race, right, going and shopping in these stores, because the consumer has to deal with this mess. You deal with the stress of dealing and looking at these people acting like animals. You want to talk about the black man act like apes? I've seen a whole lot of other cultures act real stupid. It's time to stop. You got Karens and Kens, as we call them, because of that mess. It's time to end it, y'all. Right? Again, and by end it, we talking about doing it in the way in which they did it. Use your legal system, right? Because again, no different than in the story of Ruth, there's more than is left to glean from for you to use it for your purpose, not for their purpose. Killing this man is not the answer, ladies and gentlemen. So what? So let's just go further here in the thought, because again, people not thinking when that happens. I hope they catch this shooter, by the way. I hope they do, because again, this is not the game. When do people keep taking the easy way out? Xing off Donald Trump won't do it. Us banding together as a people under the laws that they have provided on these lands that they took improperly is the only way this thing works. You want your community, black man and woman, to be better. It's not in killing Donald Trump or Joe Biden or any government official. It's y'all banding together, no different than our ancestors in the 60s and in the 70s, or our elders if they're still alive, right? And make sure we get representation for ourselves. You don't need the NAACP, whether how corrupted they are. You don't need Black Lives Matter. Now again, Black lives do matter, but we're talking about as an organization that gets corrupted. No different than we have seen before in life. You got all these lives. We just finished talking about Chicago and the murder fest going over there and every other one of these places, Detroit, all these places, right? Do you hear them talk about that stuff? No, you don't never hear them talk about that stuff when the dark skin tone folks are killing each other. It's only when our European brothers and sisters kill black folks. You ever question why? There are a lot of lives left on the park bench that nobody talks about. See, we're not thinking. This is the real, ladies and gentlemen. That stat quo garbage they've been having you running is only going to kill you in the end, whether slowly or quickly. Right? Again, on this podcast, we don't play around in the fluff. This is not Barney, I love you and you love me thing. Now, again, while that's a very real element, if you had love more into this thing, again, the witch hunt that goes on with witches and homosexuals and transgenders wouldn't be happening, and we'd be working on love and unity between people and leaving each other alone on the ones we disagree with. You know, not going and trying to shoot Donald Trump. I got no love for the man, no different than anybody else, but that mess is garbage. You don't do that. You don't do that. No different than any of these government officials sitting there manipulating the game so they could put $1 from us in their pocket and give us nothing in return. So that's what I got, y'all. Again, stay vigilant. I hope y'all are having a powerful weekend, right? Again, look out for the play in the game, ladies and gentlemen. They mean to hurt us on a very serious level and do things to hide their sins so that they continue this sick cycle. In order for there to be balance, it's time for again, you know me as a Star Wars fan, it's time for the Jedi to return, man. It's time for us to stand up. Stand up and be counted for. Stop bowing your knee. Stop bowing your knee. And we can do this thing in love and in peace and in conviction and courage. That's how it works. So Thank y'all very much, ladies and gentlemen. We will talk to you soon. And as always, look to find the beauty in a different view.